Welcome back. Time for the Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitolBeatOK.com. Pat, this time of year, a lot of people are wondering, does the legislature work when they're not in session? Can you talk a little bit about that and what they do, these interim studies that go on in between regular sessions?
Yeah, I've been doing some reporting on the announced interim studies. The first thing to just simply observe is that a lot of the legislators understandably spend the time they're not at the Capitol earning a living. We, at least in theory, have a citizen legislature, although their annual pay is actually kind of decent. It's in the 30s per year. But having said that, a number of them are concentrating, not as many as you might think, but a number of them are concentrating on getting reelected. So there's those factors. But every year there's a cycle of interim studies, they're called. And for this year, there have been 59 approved in the House by outgoing Speaker Chris Steele, and a total of 27 in the Senate approved by the President Pro Tem Brian Bingman. So those are, significant numbers.
We know that in some cases these are just for show, but talk about how often do these interim studies, do these committees really lead to some sort of legislation or some action during session?
Well, they often lead to some form of legislation, and then the question becomes, does it get through the hearing? A good example would be the study done last year by Representative Dank on tax credits that we've spent a lot of time talking about on this program, that did not result in substantive legislation, but certainly was the subject of a lot of discussion and could not be described as a window dressing, kind of thing. So that's an example of meaty issues dealt with in an interim. Real quickly, I want to mention government modernization, the information technology, some of the other reforms to make government more efficient that actually are proving to be doing exactly that. Jason Murphy, that'll be coming. Pensions, further reforms on pensions, another issue we've talked about. Randy McDaniel was frustrated in 2012, I think, in achieving further reforms to build on what was achieved in 2011, so that's going to be an important issue. Real quickly, workers' comp, going to be a big issue again because of a study being done in the Senate. Bond issues and bonding procedures. Senator Patrick Anderson, kind of a critic of some of the practices right now in state government, and he has a total of 3 interim studies, which I think will be significant. School administrative costs. Both the House and the Senate are going to have interim studies on that issue, and that could be significant because this is a proposal that's been around a long time, far short of consolidation, a way that by packing some services together across district lines, you could save some money and free up resources for education. Finally, I do want to mention the veterans issue. A friend of mine, Scott Carter, has done a lot of good reporting on this issue, and some of the rest of us have looked at it too. There's some real problems in the state's veteran centers. Both houses have interim studies approved. Frank Simpson of Ardmore in the Senate, and Richard Morissette, Democrat, in the House. Those will be well attended, scrutinized, and I would predict, I don't think it makes me a prophet to say that some meaningful legislation addressing problems in our veteran centers will come out of that study at the very least. Yeah. So there's an overview.
That's good, and we'll be looking forward to that. Now let's turn our attention to the national stage. And we've seen in the last couple of weeks, President Obama's campaign has been fixating most of their messaging toward former Governor Romney's time at Bain Capital, raising questions about some timelines there. At a time when corporate greed really has been a focus of many media outlets, what are the chances, especially with this messaging, that America is going to elect a multi-millionaire corporate businessman as the next president?
I think it's a reasonable question, just like, will America, the question we asked 4 years ago, would America elect a community organizer, which was a little bit outside the normal train of preparation. Let me just quickly say that some of those same media outlets, CNN, the Washington Post, factchecks.org, have just blistered the reporting in the Boston Globe and elsewhere that was the basis for the Obama campaign's attacks on Romney. There's a lot of people that think it was a bridge too far, and the early evidence is kind of intriguing because one poll, very recent, this week, has Romney narrowly ahead, another one has Obama just barely ahead, and they're dead even in the battleground states. So in the fall, I'm thinking that Romney is going to even the score in terms of raw spending and may eventually outspend the president, which would be kind of surprising, but that's possible. So stay tuned as to how effective those arguments will be. I don't think they caught hold, and they've been sharply criticized even by colleagues of ours back east in the news business, who are not necessarily sympathetic to Romney.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, you can read more about these and other topics at CapitolBeatOK.com. For Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Have a great Saturday.